Hey, how you doing, folks? Keith Roberts here at Brazos Real Estate Investors Club. Hey, we're live at the Canteen in Cavalry Court, North College Station, and it is raining like it always is on live. This is our first live BRIC event, back live, in person, shaking hands, no mask, and we're here, but it's raining. So we're going to be back in a few minutes, and we got a couple guests with us tonight. We got Don Norton, and we got our very own Mary Hirsch, and we're going to talk about what they're doing with their real estate investments, and we're going to look at some pictures, and we're just going to talk about just getting started in real estate investments, some questions for me, and we'll take your questions too. So again, we're live. If you're nearby, come on down to the Canteen, just north of Texas A&M in Cavalry Court, College Station. Give me 5 minutes and we'll be back. All right, we'll see you then. Howdy, folks. Hey, welcome to our first in-person Brazos Real Estate Investors Club meeting since probably the start of COVID. I'm Keith Roberts with Brazos Real Estate Investors Club. I'm a lender with Jet Lending, and I'm a realtor with 12 Realty, and I also buy houses with the Home Investors franchise. We buy the houses here. I'm here with Don Norton, who is, if you guys paying attention to our YouTube channels, you might have seen me driving around with Don one day talking about how to dig leads or driving for dollars. So Don is a relatively new investor, kind of started right when COVID hit. So I'm gonna let him here in a minute tell you a story about what we got planned for tonight. Again, I said we're live at the Canteen in College Station, just north of Texas A&M and Cavalry Court. And we're just excited to be back in person, live. This is kind of our test run, just a happy hour before we can get back up to our big 100 people in the building there in North Bryan. So you tell us if you're ready. Comment below, like this, and send us a note if you're ready to get back in person. I know tonight we had a pretty big rainstorm, and that's just the way it is with BRIC. You got to brave the weather and get out there. It's only for not for the faint of heart. But I'm going to open it up to Don. I'm going to let him tell you just basically, Don, how long you been in real estate investing? What's your goals?
Well, my wife and I started this company at the end of 2019, and with the hopes of supplementing our retirement. You can tell that we're getting up in age, we're getting tired of the 8 to 5 grind. So we wanted to get into something that was a little less intensive, could supplement our retirement, and we've already started to try to put away. Then the COVID hit, so we kind of put it on the shelf for a while, and things are beginning to settle down now. And I got involved with BRIC and met Keith here, and he's kind of taking me under his wing and trying to guide us through this thing. We're kind of kicking along, trying to get our feet underneath us here. And as Keith said, he and I went out a couple of weeks ago and did the driving for dollars thing, and he pointed out the houses to look for and to write down, and then how to proceed with sending letters out to these folks that, looking at the property, you can kind of judge if they've been neglected and deferred maintenance, and kind of indicates that somebody might be willing to get, to get rid of the house, and could be a potential investment. So we spent about an hour that day driving around, and made a list of folks, and sent some letters out, and I've gone back out several times since then and made a continuing list. That's kind of where we are right now. We're doing a little signage advertising around town and have not yet gotten much of a result out of it, but we're still kicking at it and hoping.
How many letters do you think you send out?
Oh, since you and I went out, I've probably sent out 30 or 40 letters.
So you drive around, you get it, find a house. What do? You write it down on your notepad, go back to your office, look them up in the appraisal district, send a letter. Are you pre-printing the letter, so all you have to do is sign them, stick them in an envelope? Exactly. And about how many you send a week?
Oh, we've been sending 10 to 12 a week. You got to keep in mind that my wife and I are doing an 8 to 5 job right now, so doing this kind of part-time.
And do you put them in a spreadsheet so that you can hit them again in a month? Or
Exactly.
All right, so it's not just one and done. You're keeping track of what you sent out, and you're going to hit them again, what, a month from now?
Yeah, a month to 5 days.
All right, and so you mailing out a group every week?
A week to 10 days.
Okay.
It's been working out.
So you got I pay a company now to automate this for us, but when I was doing it myself, I put them in 3 groups, like Group A, Group B, Group C, and then whenever they came in, they kind of fell into one of those groups. So then I knew I would send them back out, and I wouldn't mail to A. A was month 1, then B was month 2, and it just because it's hard. But whatever system you use, it's better than not doing it. And so, have you got any calls off your letters?
Actually, no, we have not. The only response we've had was we sent letters out to a property owner in one of the subdivisions here in College Station. And, I think it was probably their business manager that responded to us and asked if we take them off of our mailing list.
Yeah.
The response we've had has not been productive yet. But,
Yeah. And so, what do you plan to do? What's your plan if somebody calls you? So phone rings, you have a separate line where you know that that's the money line?
yes.
All right.
We've got a separate line. And we know when the phone rings who it is that's calling us. At least if it's related to the real estate.
So I know we talked about this when we sat down. Don and I sat down over some coffee one morning, and we just talked about stuff. And you don't think about this until you go to do it. So you can set up a line. You can go get a Google Voice line or just get another line and have it forward to your cell. But then you make the decision: do I want to know the number that's calling me, or do I want to know? Do I want to know the person's number who called me show up on the screen? Or do I want to know the line I'm forwarding to my cell phone show up on the screen? So the difference is I go get a Google Voice line that's, 979-1234. I want to program 979-1234 in my phone with dollar signs around it and say money line. So when the phone rings, it shows up on my phone, money line, and I stop what I'm doing and I answer the phone and I say, hey, Keith, investor, I answer the phone a certain way on my lines, but, real estate, how can I help you? After I hang up, I can log in to Google Voice and whatever system I'm forwarding to this and find out their phone number. I don't need to show that up on my phone. I want to know money line versus their. So that's important. Some people might think, no, I need to see the person's number pop up on the phone. No, you don't, because the random number pop up on your phone doesn't scream dollar signs like actual dollar signs showing up on your phone.
Especially with all the fake calls that you get now.
Yeah.
The phone number doesn't mean anything.
Okay, yeah, so good. Well, you're doing the right thing. That's probably, more than a lot of people are doing. They're just doing the driving around part, and it takes a long time to. I had somebody call me the other day and says, "Get me this lot, buy this lot for me." Help me, because we also are realtors. And I said, all right. And about 5 minutes later, I was done everything I could do to that. I looked them up in CAD and I sent them a letter. And that's it. And then I wait. Now I can send them another letter. Maybe I could Facebook search their name and stalk them and stuff. That's been effective. Okay, so marketing, we haven't got any results, but it will grow. So will the cost, because the costs will go up. But hopefully you get a call. And what are you looking for? What's your ideal property right now, in case anyone's listening has the property that you want?
Well, we're looking for something that obviously is going to be profitable. We're looking to both do the renovate and flip and wholesale. So if there's anybody out there that's got something that looks like a pretty good deal and you're not interested in turning it yourself, give us a holler.
So I hear that a lot when I ask people, what are you looking for? And they say, a good deal. And then that's it. Like, oh, okay, let me reach in my good deal bag. So let me help narrow that down. Are you looking to spend $500,000 on your deal, or $80,000 or $40,000 up front in the acquisition, not the repairs? And what do you want that house to be worth when you're done? 150, 250, $1 million?
Well, I think right now we're in a situation where we've got probably upwards to 100,000 of our own money to invest in the property.
So what I see 100 grand is I could buy 5 properties with that, or 3, So, and that's with conventional money. That's just 20%. I could use that down payment 5 times and buy, 20K down. But narrowing it down, you're kind of looking for a 180 to 190, under 200,000 after repaired value that you hope to pick up for 70 or 80. And put 20 to 30 into it. Is that about accurate? So that's a basic 3-2 in Bryan College Station area. Maybe it's near the university. Maybe it's not. As opposed to taking something down for 300, spending 150 on it, and selling it for 500. Which you're probably not opposed to, but you can do that once or one at a time. But you got a little bit more starting out than maybe a lot of people do, so you probably could take something on that. So all right. And So in the what constitutes a deal questions, what kind of repairs are you looking for? So if I brought you to a house that had a slab, you know, it's tilted, it just needs everything, ceiling, falling in, anything where you're, no, maybe that's too much for me to start out, or no.
Well, I think I'd probably shy away from any deal that involves slab work.
Yeah.
I'm just not real familiar with that myself, and I don't know of anybody in the industry that I can trust at this point.
Yeah. So that's good to know, and good to tell whoever you're hoping to wholesale that you're not necessarily only want cosmetic repairs, but that's where most of the doctor, lawyer, you know, who are saying, hey, I want to get into real estate investing, they're thinking they're going to spend 6 to 8 grand and make it worth 30 or 40 grand more. No, that's going out on MLS. So that's not really a deal that, I mean, it would be a great deal, but it's never going to find it. And if I do find one of those, I'm going to do it myself probably. And that's not to say that the deals I bring to other people as a wholesaler are the deals that suck, that I don't want to do. By no means. I only like doing one property at a time, but I'm making the phone ring ideally multiple times. So you don't want a super extensive renovation, but you're okay with going more than cosmetic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So a 20 grand renovation.
20, 30,000.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good, and I think the best way there is to just get on as many, you know, give your card to as many investors and get on their list. Have you done that? Are you getting emails from investors?
Haven't got that far yet.
So this is good about these events right here, is to bring business cards. And if you don't have a business card, there's apps. There's like a Mobilo app. You can do a digital card, or you can just go to Vista Print online and get a card. Just I buy houses. My name is Don. You know, you don't need to put owner of Don's part. You know, this is what you're going to hand to a client too. And I always avoid putting owner on there, because then the person's like, well, you're the owner. Who do you need to ask for a second opinion? You know, it's you. So I just put buyer, even on my own cards. And that way I have it, and I'll go home and add you to all my list. Okay. So what else? Any questions for me? I know you and I talked a bit. We drove around, and
yeah, no, I've got a plate full right now. So I think I'm sitting pretty good.
Yeah. So ideally, the next thing that happens for you is your phone rings, and it's somebody off of one of your letters that says, "Don, I want to sell my house," and then what?
Well, then I get as much information from them as I can about the house, the property, the recent facility.
Do you have a checklist on a clipboard? All right. Yeah.
Carry one around in my truck.
And then what? You hang up.
Well, I tell whoever's calling me that I'm going to get right back to them, and I'm going to call you.
All right. And what am I going to do for you?
Well, I think you're going to help me assess the property. And
so you're going to get the after repair value, because I'm a realtor. I'm going to get MLS, and I'm going to give you what I think the value is. And by the way, if you're not starting there, then you're wrong. I can't tell you how many people call me up and say, Keith, I think this could be a winner. And I ask them, what do you think it could be worth? Well, I don't know, but I think I should pay $100,000. How do you know how much you should pay if you don't know how much it's going to be worth when you're done? And then you don't know how much it's going to take to fix it up. If you're making an offer without knowing those two things, you're going to be in this business for exactly one deal, unless you get really lucky. So yeah, you're going to call me. I'm going to help you with the after repair value, possible partnership, maybe.
Yep.
And then maybe we'll go out and walk it for repairs, and get some pictures. All right. Well, that's a great start, I think. Then you're heads and tails above a lot of people just getting started who don't know the call a realtor or get somebody involved. Because as we talked when we sat down, and this isn't a pitch to sell my services, just what I tell every new investor that calls me is, you really need you need a team, and you need a plan. What happens when the phone rings? And then I like to say, you want to walk across the finish line on that first deal, cashing a check and not just writing a check. And if you're gonna if you're afraid to give that money up to people up front, then you might be cashing a check. Because if you take the house down for the wrong price, if you spend too much, then you could be out of business on day one. And I've seen it. We've been running this club for 8 years, and I've seen people one and done. They come to a meeting, fired up, and they take down the property. And I actually had a guy tell us, I'm not going to say his name, but they said, well, he called us to buy it from him after we had already, he knew when he bought it that we had offered on it. And he even asked us, what you offered on? We shared our notes with him. We don't do that for everybody. And the only reason we did it in this case is because we didn't think it would ever be a deal for us. So later he said, well, you buy this house from us for X number of dollars. That was probably 20 or 30 grand more than we originally offered on it. And I said, well, no, first of all, but let me see if I can help you. And I said, how much did you offer for it? And he gave me the number, and he said, 40. And I said, why 40? And he said, well, you told me you offered 20 and that didn't work. So I offered 30 and they didn't take it. So I offered 40. I'm like, okay, well, that's why you're here where you're at right now. And that's why I think they're pretty much out of business. Okay, so that's great. Don, I appreciate your time tonight. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get another drink, and we're going to be back with Mary Hirsch. She's got some pictures of the house she looked at, and we're just going to walk through those pictures and see just what my thoughts are. I don't know where the house is, but we're going to see. Again, if you're near, we're at the Canteen in North College Station, Cavalry Court, north of Texas A&M. First live in-person meeting back since COVID. Don, appreciate your time.
Come join us.
And I'm going to see if I know what to do here. But we'll be back in 30 seconds. There. Give me a second. There it is.
Okay.
But just make sure. Hey, we're back. It's Keith Roberts with Brazos Real Estate Investors Club. If you're just joining us, I'm with 12 Realty, Jet Lending, and we're at the Canteen in Cavalry Court, College Station, Texas. I'm looking out the window. I see Texas A&M, and I see some rain. So if you're nearby, come on down. We are just dipping our feet in the water of live events, and we're just happy to be back. If it's a BRIC meeting, it's gonna rain. But I'm here with Mary Hirsch, who is our BRIC coordinator, also investor, and through the magic of technology, she's gonna bring up some pictures and we're gonna talk. But first, just a little bit about Mary. When you're not producing our live shows, so just so you know, Mary joined the team just about when COVID hit, and we stopped going live, big events, and we just went online. So she's been the magic behind getting us broadcasting every month, just keeping in touch with the community. So for that, we're grateful. And so Mary, just real quick, a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So I live here in College Station, and I grew up here in College Station. I live in that same house, which is pretty close to Texas A&M. I have currently 4 rental properties under management that I bought since I moved back here. I've lived in several places in the country during my active corporate career, but I don't do that anymore. And I'm managing these properties, trying to get into the real estate, investing a little bit more, and would like to do some flips. Now we've done some rentals, looking at it for the income and long term, building up, something stable long term.
So Mary, I don't know if people watching know, but you pretty much showed up at the first BRIC meeting we had.
I didn't know it was the first meeting.
And was it at the?
It was at the holiday.
Oh, okay, it wasn't the first time. Yeah.
It was
So the first one we did was at the
it wasn't
Grand Station. Grand Station first meeting, and then we moved quickly over across the street to yeah. So, but from the start, Mary and has been a stalwart member, supporter ever since, just about every meeting since then, and so I had the chance to meet a lot of real estate investors, talk to them, and see. Well, like I told Don earlier about the ones who come, talk a big game, and then aren't around anymore.
Yeah. And I have to say, being able to do that in this community has really happened through BRIC, because one thing you have to have is phone numbers and service providers. You need to know who to call, electrical, plumbing, foundation, everything you need to work on. And I found all of that through BRIC. And you found some of the best people, not just reputable people, but people with very good character. And so for that reason, I consider BRIC to be something in the lifeline.
Yeah, and so
I'm not a full-time investor the way some of the other professionals are. So this works as my network.
And so, with the internet, you can be a member of a group that's not in your town, but I strongly suggest, if you're watching this and you're in a different town, that you keep watching this, keep with our community, find one who's going to get you the info but definitely plug into the group that's local to you, so you can see and hear about deals when they come out. So Mary was talking to me a little bit ago about, so everybody, when we talked with Don last segment, it was the very beginning. What are you doing to make the phone ring? And then what do you do when the phone rings? And then what do you do when it hangs up? There's a lot of people that don't think about that at all. They drive around, they see a house, and they say, wow, I could make a lot of money if I did whatever to that house. But they don't think through, or don't know to think through the process of how do I get that house. And there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, we didn't even talk about contract and title company. But what Mary focused on and what she was asking me about is, I can get the call answered. I can talk to the people. I can get an appointment set up. I can even get realtors or whoever to help me assess the value. And then when I get out to the property, boom, now, and I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but maybe this is you, overwhelmed about what am I looking at? And what should I be looking at? And what is this a big problem? Is this not a big problem? So Mary has some pictures. I don't know how she's going to pull them up on the screen, but she's going to pull some pictures up, and then we're just going to talk.
Okay, we're going to share this screen with you. Share screen. And we are going to share that. Okay, this property was built in the early 1940s, and just from an angle, my first impression was a lot of disrepair, probably not as well maintained as you would like. Some of the houses that I've looked at in this area that were built in the 1940s were actually well maintained and well built, and are sturdier than the 1960s house I'm living in now.
Where'd you say this house was?
This one was not one of those. So I didn't talk to you about this before, but this house was. This is one I looked at a few years ago, and it's actually in the south side of the historical area of the College Station. It's very close to the university. So on the one hand, location. On the other hand, what you see is what it is like.
Okay, so I'll start talking because Mary showed me these pictures earlier, and I didn't know. So what I see just looking at the pictures, and I would never just come in and make an offer just on pictures alone. I need the address, and you might be hesitant to share the address with other investors because you're worried they're going to take the deal away from you, go around you, and then pretty soon they buy it. So I don't do that. Me and my partner, but we're not going to say the address on the air right now. But when I first saw it, what I see, I'll just tell you what I see, and then I'll comment on the fact that it's Southgate of A&M. Okay.
It's within a block.
So what I see is that it's an old house, but like I told Don earlier, my first step is going to be to do a CMA. I'm going to look the address up in the MLS, and I'm going to find a value of what this house is fixed up and worth fixed up and what it's worth as is. I'm going to get those two estimates, because when I come out, what I call the living room, when I come out to meet the seller, I'm gonna say, well, what's my plan? And another thing that I do, also me and my partner Jeff do, is we kind of look at lot value. So worst case, if this house is a complete dog and knockdown, I want to know what the dirt is worth. And not a lot of people do that. They just think like, I'm a house renovator, so I'm gonna have to renovate it. Well, we've made a lot of money on knocking houses down and building another house in its place. So I'm gonna go out there kind of with three values in my mind, and maybe even four: a fixed up, really nice house, a fixed up for a rent, and an as-is value, and then a dirt value. So I go out there with all these ideas, and I just keep them, because I can't dictate all that. It's going to be the seller. The seller is going to say, we have to have X number of dollars because that's what we owe. And that might knock out two of my plans, or three, or all four. And then there's some other options. But Mary asked me, what do I see? Can I just hit this to see more? All right, so what do I see when I look at these pictures? So I have to say, I told you the first thing I do is I have to have an ARV. So it's pointless looking at pictures without an end goal in mind. This house is going to be worth X number of dollars when it's fixed up. And now when I look at the pictures, I'm trying to use the pictures to figure out what it's going to take, the repair estimate. I'm not looking at the pictures to determine what it could be worth when it's done. That's going to be based on sold comps like properties. So I'm pretty much, when Mary shows me pictures right now, I'm skipping the step of what it could be worth. Earlier when she showed me, I said, okay, if this house is in Bryan somewhere, it's probably worth, $125,000 or something just from it.
That's typical.
But then when she told me it's in Southgate near Texas A&M, so now I don't care about this house. I'm bulldozing it. It's dirt value. And judging from this previous picture, it's a pretty big lot. Maybe it's a corner. And I'm thinking, how many houses can I fit on this lot at 200? Yeah. So that kind of defeats the purpose of looking at the pictures to determine value, because if this really is this close to the university, I don't. All right. So if this house were in Bryan, now, and let's just pretend that I determined that it's going to be worth 125.
135.
Yeah, when it's fixed up. So now a good rule of thumb, just real quick, is if those people that you're talking to aren't, thinking about selling for 65 or 75,000, and it's not going to be a deal. Now that's 50%. That's not a 50% rule or anything. What you're going to do is figure out the value, and then a good rule of thumb is 70% of that value minus repairs. Then that's your offer. That generally gets you to around 50. So if you want to do ballpark, once a realtor tells you it's going to be worth 125, if it has these type of repairs, then immediately just cut that in half, and that's generally the ballpark you're going to be at. But you're going to do the due diligence. You're going to walk through. What I'm seeing when I see this is there's something funky going on this roof line, but I don't know. I'm not present. That might be just the gutters. That might be easy. Depending on, so when the realtor told me 125, I'm going to ask him or her, what gets you 125? Is it granite? Is it new roof? Is it tile floor? And he or she might say, no, it's basic laminate, whatever. Okay. So then I don't really need to fix all these windows. If they say, oh, all the houses that sold for this price have new windows, granite, then I got to factor that in. So I'm thinking at a 125,000 ARV, I'm not going to replace these windows. I'm just going to clean this junk up, mow the lawn, get rid of this stuff, fix the gutters, maybe fix the fence. I don't know whether I can afford that yet or not. I'm just saying what I'm thinking when I see these pictures. Inside,
And the lighting, there was no electricity on.
Again, I'm gonna make a plan for everything. I'm gonna make a plan to replace this fans, the paint, to replace all the flooring, and then later I'll figure out whether I can afford that or not.
If you look closely, you can see a lot of patches.
Yeah. So I don't see anything really scary there yet, but I always am thinking all new flooring, all new paint. And the kitchen is really, really dated. I'm thinking at a minimum, gonna refinish the cabinets. If nothing else, take them off and paint them. This one looks like it's not hanging right. I'm gonna fix that. But again, judging from this kitchen, this is either gonna be a completely rip it out and increase the value by a lot, or we're just going to make it look pretty and it's always going to be a rental. So don't go swinging sledgehammers on this kitchen if this house is only ever going to be worth 80, 90, or 100, because you're just wasting money. You just want to make it pretty. So again, you keep hearing me harp it all over and over and over again. What the end result is the determining factor, that what you can afford. And then the next thing is, what are these sellers going to get? Am I going to be able to buy it for? If I'm only going to be able to buy it for 80 or 90, then I'm only going to be able to spend 10 or 20, and it might not ever be worth 135. I'm going to get what I can get for it, or it's not a deal and I walk away. But I will price out new counters, new cabinets, and new appliances, and then I'm going to get a bid that says like it's a $30,000 or $40,000 renovation. And then I say, well, that ain't going to work. And then I'm going to go back and say, maybe no appliances, no counters, and I make my rental bid, So I'm just going to keep going. This tree right here, this close, I don't like. And I definitely don't like this big tree here. For sure, I got to factor in a couple grand to limb this tree. Maybe even remove it. I'm going to go back a slide. The fact that it's this close and this is a slab foundation tells me this could be affecting the foundation because of how close it is. It's sucking a lot of water out of that foundation, and those roots are probably lifting that foundation up. So that close to the house, it scares me.
This is sort of the back of the house. There's probably a bathroom there, and I would guess that the RICs may be interfering
affecting the plumbing, yeah. So,
and in fact, you might have to replace everything from the plans to where it connects to
yeah.
the city sewers.
So what I see at a minimum is a lot of money paying someone to come out and get rid of all these dead limbs that could have going to fall on this house and smash the house. Then I'm going to get wall out foundation to see, is it affecting the but this tree equals money right now. What I'm looking at equals money.
A question about the tree also, is this something that, let's say you ignored the tree, maybe you never thought about the tree, when you go to sell it to the next buyer and you're getting a mortgage loan, is this going to be a problem on the inspection?
Yeah,
if that tree is
one of these limbs is going to fall in and smash the house.
So the
and so
is going to say something about it when the next home buyer.
I think so. And then the only way you're going to be able to ignore it is if you're just going to wholesale it to somebody or sell it to somebody for cash and it's their problem. Yeah. But the fact, it's a really big tree, so it's going to be really, really, really expensive to remove completely. Probably never going to get it completely gone, but you might stump. Yeah.
We're speaking of this from Brian, much more typical investment.
Yeah.
But in the south side of Bryan, there are laws and regulations about what you can do with that tree.
Yeah. So you're going to have, before you make the offer on this house, you need to get a tree person out there and a foundation guy. Okay. So again, I'm just saying what I see. So if this house were in Bryan, I'm looking at making this a rental. Again, it depends on the neighborhood. If every house in the neighborhood is really nice, then I might be wanting to fix this up. I really can't just speak just based on the house, not knowing its location. The fact that I know where it's at, all the stuff I just talked about is moot point. I'm going to knock it down. But I guarantee if this house is really where he said it is, and this lot is this big, they're probably trying to sell for 300 grand or something. Yeah, it's probably 200 each lot. I'm guessing you can fit 2 houses here. Yeah, and depending on how far away it is from the university, the ones that are on the block from it are selling for $1 million just for the dirt, and then it drops by maybe 100 grand each block. And 10 blocks away from the university is still dirt value is probably 200 grand. So that makes all the thing we just discussed a moot point. But Mary wanted me to look at houses and tell you On a different day, we'll talk about, we'll start when we know the value of actual house and work back from there.
Actually, that's a very good example because that is the kind of thing we'd normally be looking at. Plus, if you're in a different neighborhood and it is a different value, then you're doing something else.
We talked about marketing. We talked about what to do in the phone range. We talked about what you kind of look for. We didn't have we had a few interior pictures. But on a different day, maybe we'll just walk the camera through and just see what we look for. And do you need to be a contractor to do this? No. But you do need to know what to look for so that you can point out. And my point is take a lot of pictures. She showed me like 4 or 5 pictures. I normally take like 40 or more. I take pictures under the sink, up in the attic, under the house. But we're going to wrap it up here. And we're going to have a few more refreshments. But we'll take your questions. Remember, let me know if you're ready to get back live when it's not raining. If you're ready to get back, big speaker, big meeting in person. I appreciate you coming out tonight. Mary, thanks for putting this together. There's some people that aren't in the camera shot who don't want to be in the camera shot, but we thank them for coming out, and we thank you. Have a great night. God bless. Thank you.